Hello! The stories told on this channel are based on the accounts shared by my grandfather, a professor of history. They have been carefully compiled from the documents he came across, as well as letters and correspondences found in old archives. Today, I will tell you the tale of a Viking warrior and a Turkish sultan's daughter. Beneath the grey skies of the north, on rocky shores battered by the wind, there was a village. In this village, a name echoed that everyone knew, Halfdan. But they didn't just call him Halfdan, they called him Halfdan the Strong. For despite his young age, he stood out with his massive shoulders, arms like steel, and silent, piercing gaze. When he walked by, the women would avert their eyes, only to turn and watch him with admiration. The men, meanwhile, felt somehow diminished in his presence. But Halfdan's strength did not come only from his arms. Deep within, he carried a wound. When Halfdan was just 10 years old, his father went off to war and never returned. They always told him his father had fallen honorably in battle, yet Halfdan could not shake the feeling that something was missing inside him. That emptiness grew deeper with time, for the name of one who fell in battle was always remembered. There was no grave and no farewell. Years passed. Halfdan became a warrior. But the emptiness within him grew day by day. Then one day, an old sailor whispered a secret to him.
Your father did not die, Halfdan. He was sold as a mercenary to Byzantium. He fought for gold, then vanished without a trace.
Halfdan's heart turned to ice. This was not an honorable death, nor a hero's tale as he had been told. This was betrayal. Betrayal of his family, his village, and of Halfdan himself. That night under the stars, Halfdan made a vow.
I will find my father's trail. I will see with my own eyes who he has become. And if I must, I will carve my own name into history with my blood.
He took only a few of his most loyal men. In the deep darkness of night, they left the shore behind. They sailed through the waters of the north, and so began Halfdan's long journey to Constantinople, the very heart of the East. This was not only a journey of battle, but a journey of truth, honor, and destiny. After days of battling the waves at last, Halfdan and his men saw a silhouette on the horizon. It was a city whose stone walls gleamed like gold, whose minarets pierced the sky. A city as distant as a dream, yet as real as the sea itself. Constantinople. For the first time in his life, Halfdan beheld such magnificence. This city was unlike the bleak northern lands he came from. Here, the sun rose differently. People dressed in strange colors, and every street corner held a hidden story. The harbor was teeming with life. Ships, men hauling cargo, women praying, merchants shouting. But Halfdan's eyes were drawn to something else. Etched into the stones at the base of the city's walls were names. Viking runes. Ragnar was here. Yes, this was the mark of one of his ancestors. Another Halfdan, who had come to these shores many years before, had carved his name into these stones. The same blood, the same lineage, the same mark. For Halfdan, this moment felt like a sign. My coming here is no coincidence, he thought. Yet even before he set foot ashore, he sensed danger. Someone in the city was watching him. Disguised spies tracked his every step in the market, questioned his men at the docks. For a man like Halfdan could never be just an ordinary traveler. Constantinople was a city of intrigue. Beneath the gold-lit surface, blood and betrayal were hidden. Halfdan soon learned that his father's name was still spoken in this city, but in whispers, in different tongues. Someone did not want the secret Halfdan was chasing to come to light. Meanwhile, in the palace, another story was unfolding. Young Ottoman Princess Elif gazed out at the city from behind glass, feeling like a bird trapped in a gilded cage. Elif was beautiful, clever, but lonely. She had grown up in the shadow of her father, the Sultan. She had everything except freedom. She longed not for the palace's gilded walls, but for the unknown beyond them. One night, as Halfdan wandered the city, he encountered Elif near Hagia Sophia. And so fate was drawing these two souls from opposite worlds closer together. Elif was out on one of her secret nightly escapes among the people. Her face was veiled, but her eyes revealed everything. Elif was out on one of her secret nightly escapes among the people. Her face was veiled, but her eyes revealed everything. For the first time in his life, Halfdan reached not for his sword, but for his heart. And Elif, for a fleeting moment, saw the child within that stern-faced stranger, a man who emerged from darkness, yet carried a heart full of light. Their first meeting was wordless, yet a single glance spoke more than 1,000 words. And that night, in Constantinople, it was not only the stars that shone, but destiny itself. At night, Constantinople was dark, yet mesmerizing. Every street lamp held a secret, every corner a watcher. After that first encounter near Hagia Sophia, Elif and Halfdan thought they would never see each other again. But fate had other plans. As Halfdan explored the city, he found traces of his father among the palace guards. He had heard that his father was once one of Byzantium's mercenaries. But the real shock was something else. His father had been involved in a betrayal within the palace. And that betrayal still haunted some to this day. Halfdan's goal was to follow his father's trail. But now his heart was being pulled in another direction. For Elif, she was hidden like the night, yet bright as the day to him. He waited for days in the old harbour market, hoping to see her again. And one night Elif appeared, cloaked in black, with her loyal servant Esma by her side, her eyes shining just as before. That night they spoke for the first time.
Who are you? Why do you wander this city as a stranger? Yet everyone seems to notice you.
I was about to ask you the same. Why would a sultan's daughter blend in with the crowds at night? If your answer is a secret, so is mine.
After that night, they met every night. In the shadow of Hagia Sophia, on the shore, in hidden gardens. Halfdan spoke of the winds of the north. Elif shared her loneliness behind the palace walls. With each story, they grew closer. But in the palace, certain eyes were now watching them. Elif's cousin, Hatice Sultan, had noticed Halfdan. Hatice had envied Elif for years, for her beauty, her father's affection, her place in the eyes of the people. And now she could not forgive her for falling in love with a foreigner. Hatice ordered her spies to follow Halfdan and find out who he was. The truth she finally learned shocked her to her core. Halfdan's father was the very man who had betrayed the palace's most secret treasure years. Hatice did not tell Elif what she had learned, not right away. And in the end, one of Elif's most trusted servants was bought off. Now, every meeting between Halfdan and Elif brought them one step closer to the Sultan himself. The palace walls of Constantinople conceal many things. But the most dangerous secrets lie in the hearts of those within. Halfdan was no longer just a seeker. As he traced his father's footsteps through the palace's dark history, he was about to touch the most delicate vein of fate itself. Every meeting with Elif was an echo of the last. Their love was growing. But now, fear was settling into Elif's heart. The Sultan had started calling for her more often in recent weeks, searching her eyes more intently.
My daughter, are you hiding something from me?
Each time her throat tightened. All she could manage was,
No, father.
There's something in her eyes, as if she's carrying a storm waiting to break loose. Elif is closer to me than ever, yet somehow farther away. What is she hiding from me? Or is she trying to protect me?
Halfdan made a plan to reach one of the palace's hidden towers, where his father had once served. With a secret map Elif gave him, he slipped through the old guard's passage behind Hagia Sophia at midnight. But what awaited him wasn't just stone walls. It was betrayal. Hatich Sultan lured Halfdan into a trap, telling the guards he was ensnared by Elif herself. Suddenly, Halfdan found himself surrounded by 3 Byzantine guards, their swords drawn. Guard:
Surrender. Explain how you got in here.
Halfdan:
I'm only seeking the truth. My father. I just want to know what he left behind.
But his words did nothing to soften the chill of the iron shackles. Halfdan was thrown into the dungeon, and that night, Elif could not sleep. Her soul was in shreds. The man to whom she'd given her heart was now locked in her father's dungeons. Elif:
What have I done? I've destroyed him with my own hands. If my father finds out, Halfdan will never see the light of day again.
When morning came, Elif made her decision. She would either save Halfdan or burn with him for the sake of their love. Through tears, she remembered a secret she'd kept since childhood. There was a hidden escape route inside the palace, one that no one else knew about. It was a passage her mother had once planned to use in her youth, but never did. And now Elif would use that passage to set Halfdan free, to set both him and their love free. But escape had a price. She would never see the palace again, and most painfully of all, she would break her father's heart. Time was running out. Halfdan was still in the dungeon. But in Elif's eyes, fear had given way to determination. She was the daughter of a ruler. But this time, it would not be a sultan or a warrior who decided fate. It would be the storm in the heart of a woman, a lover. Before night fell, Elif slipped into the old courtyard at the back of the palace. Behind a marble statue that had stood unopened for years, there was a hidden door. She remembered the story her mother had told her long ago. This passage is the only place where no one can find you. But once you go through, there is no turning back.
I don't want to turn back anymore. Being with him is the only thing that feels real.
At midnight, Elif reached the dungeon doors. Her loyal childhood servant Hussein was the only one she truly trusted. Silently, he opened the door and freed Halfdan from his chains. Silently, he opened the door and freed Halfdan from his chains.
Are you really doing this?
If I leave you here, I won't just lose you. I'll lose myself too.
The escape began. The underground tunnels were dark, damp, and dangerous. With every step, the ghosts of the past seemed to echo around them. As Elif tried to keep her satin skirts from the stones, Halfdan wrapped his arm around her waist.
This woman, she is no longer just a princess. She is my queen.
But just as they reached the end of the passage, a footstep rang out from the shadows. Hatich Sultan appeared, dagger in hand. Hatich.
Elif, what do you think you're doing? Will you give up your family, your palace, your people for him?
Elif.
I'm not giving up anyone. I'm simply choosing my own path.
But Hatich was resolute. This love was an obstacle to her own ambitions. She raised her dagger. Halfdan pulled Elif behind him, shielding her with his own body like a sword. Halfdan.
You won't touch her, not while I live.
Suddenly a cry rang out. The dagger fell to the ground. Hatice stumbled back. Servant Hussein had stepped between them. Hatice,
This is the last time I'll say it. If you leave through this passage, you can never set foot on these lands again.
Elif,
We never planned on coming back.
and in that moment the stone door of the passage closed behind them. Elif and Halfdan were finally free. But freedom is written not only with love, but with loss as well. From that night on, Elif's name was never spoken in the palace. The Sultan remembered his daughter only as a fading dream, but that dream became a legend in the streets of Constantinople. A northern warrior and the brightest star of the east disappeared into the shadows for the sake of love. Halfdan carefully helped Elif onto the ship. After palaces shattered by storms and betrayals written in blood, he would never leave her behind again. This city had brought them together and tried to tear them apart. But now fate was in Halfdan's hands. He turned to Elif.
I need to make a stop, he whispered softly. It won't take long. I'll be back before sunrise.
The streets were silent. This city, woven with the shadow of Byzance, had not yet awakened. When Halfdan stood before Hagia Sophia, he felt a weight pressing on his chest. It was here that he had first seen Elif. Walking beneath the domes, he had been captured by her gaze. Hagia Sophia was the silent witness to their story. And now, Halfdan would leave his farewell to this city engraved in another tongue. He walked among the great columns. His steps echoed on the marble floor. Feet that had marched through years of battle now seemed to tremble. He reached the base of a column. Drawing a small iron blade from his belt, he began to carve, slowly, deliberately, into the stone.
Halfdan was here.
A simple sentence, but behind it, a whole lifetime was hidden. He had been here, he had loved, he had fought. And now, as he left this city, he carved his name into the stone. Not for eternity, perhaps, but to be remembered. If one day someone reads it, let them know an honorable man lived here, and that he loved a woman with all the depths of his heart. As the first light touched the dome of Hagia Sophia, Halfdan closed his eyes. He murmured a prayer, perhaps to the gods, perhaps only to Elif. Then he turned away. While Hagia Sophia stood silently behind him, Halfdan returned to the princess and began walking north toward their shared destiny. The story you've just heard is based on real events. In Hagia Sophia, there is a stone that bears the inscription, Halfdan was here. It is preserved to this day and believed to have been carved in the 9th century. According to old letters and palace records, it is said that Halfdan once fell in love with a princess. I hope you enjoyed the story. It's the kind of tale you can listen to while working or drifting off to sleep. Don't forget to like and follow for more. Every story on this channel is rooted in truth.